customer because all of these things need to happen. So let's say these are called moments of truth. These are moments of truth. What happens? So let's walk it through from a customer's perspective, from your perspective. Let's say you're on vacation and you decide that or no, let's say you move to a new town or you see a new store open in your town and you decide to try it out. Let's say it's a home accessory store, Abigail Evans. So I see a new store in town. It's got a nice sign. I decide that I'm going to go and check it out. What's happening in my mind as a customer is the whole time I am processing information. I am processing impressions. All of these are leading to one of two sort of paths. One is, I really like this place and I'm going to come back. The other is, okay, I've given it a try. It doesn't fit my needs, right? So let's talk about these moments of truth. So I drive up, and the first thing that is there is a parking lot. What is your parking lot like? I mean, is it filled with trash? Susan and I bought a car recently. One of the car dealerships that sort of took themselves out of contention, they did so because their parking lot was a wreck. It was like, if that's how they care for their dealership, how are they going to care for our cars? So that's part of that moment of truth. I drive up. How do I feel when I walk to the door? Are there cigarette butts all over the place? This dealership had an ashtray right by the door, and it was like a little cemetery. There were all these cigarette butts neatly put into this ashtray, but there had to be 30 of them. Is that a moment of truth? What does that say? It says somebody should empty the doggone ashtray. My friend Jay Nur has a kite store in Ocean City, Maryland, and he described his job description as Chief Cigarette Butt Picker-Upper. Well, because people can't smoke in their store. They smoke, and then they put out the cigarette right before they come into the store, right? I mean, is that making an impression if there's 5 or 6 or 10 cigarette butts right at the door? Absolutely. It's a moment of truth. Is your door dirty? I mean, are there little smudge prints all over them? These are the things that you as an owner and a manager, by the way, really have an influence over. My friend Bill Koski, who works for a chain of restaurants, I'll tell you what, he's a manager, but one of the things that he does is he is always spotting the door. The door is the first impression. And guess what? Everybody spots the door. Why does everybody spot the door? Because Bill spots the door. People pay attention to what you pay attention to. So your door is absolutely a moment of truth. Is the display in your windows a moment of truth? Of course it's a moment of truth. How often do you wash your windows? Does that say something about your business to your customers? Of course it does. One of the big bones that I have to pick with downtown merchants, if you walk through a typical downtown, over half the windows are going to be filthy. You go to a big box store, you go to the mall, the windows are clean. They have the systems in place, the operational procedures in place to keep them clean. For those of us who live in snow, is the sidewalk shoveled? Going back to downtowns, every downtown I've visited, and believe me, as a speaker, I've visited a lot of downtowns, there's always this really spotty performance as a district. Half the windows are dirty. If it's snowing, what do you see? It's like a checkerboard. Shoveled, not shoveled, shoveled, not shoveled. What does it say to your customers about your store if everybody is shoveled and you clearly haven't shoveled your walk in weeks? Does that say something to them about how you feel about your business and your customers? Of course it does. And by the way, just because you wash your windows in the morning does not mean that the job is done. A customer doesn't care what it was like in the morning. A customer cares about what? What it's like when they walk in. So I'm suggesting to you, if it's snowing, keep shoveling. If you have an ice cream store and all the little kids are making your windows dirty. Well, you have to wash your windows more often. These are all moments of truth. These all say something. So then, do you have posters that are expired in your window? Going back to downtowns. I'm not trying to be hard on downtowns, but most of the people who watch this or who buy this retail success system are going to be independent retail store owners. And a lot of you live in a district like that or have your businesses in a downtown district or some sort of shopping district. And you go through a downtown, you'll see posters for expired events. Sometimes really expired events. 1964, wait a second now. But all of these things, and so let's just talk about that quickly also. When we talk about a downtown, so you have a store and you are responsible for your store, but people get impressions of a whole downtown also, don't they? So I can walk up and down the street and love 3 or 4 stores, but if I hate 6 or 7, the overall impression of the district is not what it should be. And when it comes time for me to vacation in a town again, my overall impression may not be what it should or could. Moments of truth. You walk in the store, what do you feel? How do I feel? I walk in your store. So now you see, by the time I've opened the door, I'm already halfway to a decision, right? 20 cigarette butts, the windows are trashed, all these things happen. I'm halfway to a decision. I open the door. What do I see? How do I feel? Do I see a well-merchandised, well-lit store, nicely laid out, clean and neat? All of these things help me create an impression that makes me say, yes, I want to buy. I feel good about this place. These are every single one of these are moments of truth. And every one of these moments of truth create a composite reaction.